let's say 50 to 100 times more, but they value it at 18. And then the Attorney General backs it up. Because she convinced him that it was worth $18 million. And everybody throughout the world is laughing at it. It's so ridiculous. But this is what we go through because they want to keep me here instead of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and lots of other great places. They want me to be here. It's a disgrace what's happening. It's a rigged trial. The whole thing is rigged. This should be in the commercial division where the judges understand it.
Will you appeal?
Because there's no understanding here. They don't understand it. Although I think he does understand it, and that's what makes it much worse. This should be in the commercial division, but most importantly, it should have never been brought because we did nothing wrong. And again, we have a financial statement, but the real value is higher than the financial statement, so there's no fraud. We have a disclaimer clause called the 100% disclaim. And that means that buyer beware, you can say whatever you want to do. You have to read the statement, but you can't assume anything. You have to go out and do your own research. It says do your own due diligence. So this is why we're here. And also, we were brought into a statute, as I said before, that was never used before. Never once was it used before. So we're being brought under a statute by this horrendous Attorney General, just a horrendous person, driving people out of New York. And again, any business that comes into New York or New York City is crazy. And frankly, you're crazy to stay here because these laws are rigged against you. And here's a case, you can look at any developer in New York, and my statement is better from the standpoint of accuracy than any statement that you'll look at. Than any statement. It's a rigged deal, and it's very bad, and they're doing it for election interference because I'm beating Biden by a lot, and I'm beating the Republicans. That one, I'd never say anything's over, but we're up by 60 points. 6-0. 60, think of that. So we're beating Biden and we're beating the Republicans, and I got to spend my time with these ridiculous things in court. Remember, the statement, financial statement, is lower than the number. I could have made it much higher. I could have had these financial statements if I wanted much higher. I didn't even include brand value. And brand value is tremendous. And when you look at companies like Coca-Cola and so many other companies, brand value is the biggest part of their net worth, bigger than anything else. I didn't even include it. This is a rigged deal. It's a rigged court. And I'm telling you, it's a disgrace for the state of New York. You want to maybe ask a question about Israel, I understand. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President. Israel is top of mind. You said you were thinking of going. What are you going to do when you're there? Are you going to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu? What would you say to him regarding Gaza?
Well, the first thing I think you should do is let them figure out what's happening. They're fighting a war. And I know it was helpful, but I think if you take your eye off the ball, they can't be worrying about me and fighting a war. They have to fight, and even having Biden over there right now, I don't think it's a very constructive thing. Because they're in the middle of a war. They're fighting a war. That's a war. And it should have never happened. It would have never happened with me. Iran's leading it, and it wouldn't have happened with me. And it didn't, by the way. Never did it? I was there a long time, 4 years. It didn't, and it never came close. That this happened is shocking. That they allowed this to happen is shocking. Iran would have never done that to me. And they were all set. They would have had a deal. I would have said 2 weeks from the election, I would have had a deal with Iran not to have a nuclear weapon. They would not have had a nuclear weapon. And that would have happened quickly. You would have never seen this happening. It's being led by Iran, and you would have never seen this happen. You wouldn't have seen Ukraine happen either. All right. You had something about the fact that Biden is sending $100 million to the Palestinians?
Yes, Mr. President.
Somebody was asking that question. What? Go ahead.
Well, what do you think about that monetary fund?
I think right now it's totally inappropriate. It's so inappropriate to be doing that right now. He's over in Israel, and he's giving money to the Palestinians. I think it's very inappropriate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you be back tomorrow by any chance?
Probably not. Probably we're having a very big tournament, professional golf tournament
Yes, sir.
at Doral, so probably.
Mr.
not.
Trump,
Thank
are you, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump,